Hi everyone, this is Tom Farmer. I hope you had a good summer and are ready for the semester to start. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of background for the article on special educators as intervention specialists. This is a paper I wrote with Kevin Sutherland, Betsy Talbot, and others for a special issue in the Journal of Emotional Behavioral Disorders on intensifying interventions that was co-edited by Dan Magan, Joe Webby, Deb Brooks, and myself. What I want to do today is to give you a conceptual context for thinking about the implications of developmental science and correlated constraints for the intensification of interventions for students with EBD. The objective of this article and module is that you will be able to articulate how multiple individual and contextual factors contribute to students' school adjustment and how the synergy of the contributions of these factors can be leveraged in the intervention intensification process for individual students. One of the common complaints I hear from teachers about social and behavioral interventions for students with EBD is that an intervention will work for a while, but then the problem comes back and is worse than ever. Therefore, a guiding question for this article is, how can we design and monitor individualized interventions to ensure students experience sustained emotional, behavioral, and social adaptation as opposed to temporary improvement and later adjustment problems? As we discuss in detail in the article, developmental science is a systems model. This means everything is bidirectionally connected and all developmental factors influence each other. Thus, behavioral adaptation and human growth reflects the dynamic interplay between characteristics of the youth and the ecologies in which he or she is embedded. There are four corollaries of this perspective that are central to this article. First, children develop as an integrated whole. Cognitive, physical, social, and behavioral functioning do not develop isolated from each other. Second, multiple factors operate as a correlated system and therefore can operate to constrain each other. Such constraints can be positive if they prevent a problem from developing, but negative if they contribute to and support the development of a problem. Third, to understand a child's development, it is necessary to consider the child in context. And fourth, there are multiple pathways to success. Children can get to the same outcome in very different ways, with different factors having different levels of contributions and influence. Now, to help you understand a systems view of development, I'm going to ask you to answer a seemingly odd question. What causes the cake? I'd like you to take a minute to write down all the things that you think cause the cake. I asked this question on the first day of class for my human development and classroom management courses. Over the years, I get the same general answers. As you see on this list, there are about 8 categories of responses. Some students give motivational responses such as, I am hungry, or my grandmother loves me. Others tend to describe cake ingredients, cooking processes, resources, goals, facilitators, opportunities, or competencies. Also, it is not uncommon for people to give 3 or 4 answers that reflect multiple categories. The take-home message here is that folks understand that it doesn't make sense to identify a single cause of a cake. We all understand that multiple things have to come together for a slice of cake to end up on your plate. But when we think about intervening with behavior, we often try to focus in on a single cause, and we try to change 1 or 2 factors such as antecedents and consequences. Antecedents and consequences may be important factors, but there may be other factors that are just as or even more important in the intervention and behavior change process. We often ignore the fact that there's a system of factors that may be operating to contribute to and sustain particular patterns of behavior in a student. So what is the point of this cake metaphor? There are really 5 points. First, at a conceptual level, asking what causes the cake is similar to asking why do kids turn out the way they do. Second, whether a cake turns out a certain way depends on how all the factors come together as a correlated system. Just like the creation of a cake, multiple factors contribute to a student's behavioral development, adjustment, and outcomes. Third, the various factors that contribute to the cake can constrain each other. For example, say you are impatient and hungry and you don't have much money. You may just buy the last cake at the grocery bakery, and it's a cake that isn't even your favorite flavor. You didn't put much effort into getting the cake, and you didn't really like it. But say it is your birthday, and your grandmother is making your favorite cake, and your mother goes out and buys the best ingredients. Your grandmother is a great cook with a great kitchen, and everyone works hard to make this the best cake ever. It is probably going to be a good cake, and one that you really like. The point here is that various types of factors work together to collectively influence the outcome. This means problems in one factor can cause problems or negatively constrain the contributions of other factors, and a cake or a student may experience adjustment problems and poor outcomes. But because development operates as a system, we can use the strengths of other factors to help adjust to problems in specific domains and support adaptation and positive outcomes. If you don't have enough of one ingredient, maybe you can add a bit more of a complementary ingredient. Maybe the oven won't get hot enough, so you add a little cooking time. Maybe the top gets a little overcooked, and you carefully scrape the burnt portion off and add a little extra icing to that part. The point is that because we are working with correlative factors, we can make adjustments in one domain to help foster adaptation to problems in another domain. This figure shows a correlated constraints ecological model for intervening with adjustment problems in students with EBD. At the core, we have a student's school adjustment with bidirectional arrows going out to the three primary domains of a student's school functioning: academic, behavioral, and social. The bidirectional arrows show that each of these three factors both influences and is influenced by the student's school adjustment. The three curved dark arrows that make up the inner rim are also bidirectional. This means that academic, behavioral, and social functioning are all connected to each other, and they both influence and are influenced by each other. So this inner core is illustrating that a student's school adjustment reflects a dynamic system of correlated constraints. Inside this inner rim, we have a variety of people or roles that are in a position to contribute to or influence a student's functioning in each of the three school domains, and therefore can also impact the student's overall school adjustment. This includes special education teachers, general education teachers, peers or classmates, and parents or guardians. We also list an intervention specialist as a role we believe can help to direct how these various individuals interact with the student and can, therefore, influence the student's overall school experiences and adjustment. However, we are also aware that a student's behavior reflects more than what is happening directly in the classroom or the context in which the behavior is occurring. Therefore, in the outer ring, we have other context and relational factors that may contribute to the student's behavior. This includes school-wide supports and related services, informal community resources such as sports teams, clubs, and church, and the student's level of engagement in such resources, and also community-based service agencies such as mental health, social services, and juvenile justice, and finally, family dynamics. At the top of this ring, we list an intervention specialist coordinator whom we believe can play a critical role by coordinating the various ecologies, services, and experiences of the student in ways that promote the development of a system of positive correlated constraints. There is an important take-home message of a correlated systems view of behavioral development for the intensification of interventions for students with EBD. This is that there are multiple and correlated leverage points for promoting a student's positive adaptation. These leverage points include students' individual strengths and needs, teachers' strengths and resources in classroom management, classroom social dynamics and peer cultures, parents' expectations and support, personal, family, community, and cultural values and beliefs, and school and community resources and opportunities. As interventionists, we need to carefully consider which factors are most malleable for intervention and can help to promote positive adaptation in other factors. This means understanding that we are intervening with a system and not just a behavior. So what does this mean for you as you go through your training as an NCLII scholar? First, it is helpful to think about using natural developmental processes as an ally in your intervention efforts. Second, it is often necessary to focus on the whole learner, including the student in context, and the correlated system of factors that contribute to her or his behavior and school adjustment. Third, to address correlated constraints, it is beneficial to focus on fostering and building upon specific strengths of the students. And fourth, we can't expect students to grow out of a problem, but we can leverage the ordinary magic of development. We can do this by making sure that our intervention efforts are coordinated and monitored to promote persistence, resilience, and supportive relations that collectively help foster and sustain productive patterns of behavior and adaptation. Okay, folks, that's all I've got. Thanks, and have a great fall semester.